On behalf of my co-presidents, Dr. Roy Wiley and Susan Fishman, it's my great pleasure to welcome Rob Landis to be our speaker today. I know we will enjoy it. It'll be fun and it'll be informative, and we're all greatly looking forward to it.
And it's my honor to introduce Rob Landis and Jim Roman, who's going to be playing with him. Rob Landis is the beloved organist and artist in residence for St. Luke's United Methodist Church in River Oaks since 1996. He's taught at the TUTS Humphreys School of Musical Theater. And in his other life, he has entertained Houston's high society circuit for years with a long-running jazz trio. But what he and Jim Roman are doing, they are going to share their love of the organ, which they teach school children throughout Houston to build their own miniature pipe organs. And so now they're going to talk about that and demonstrate. So this is like a really big deal that y'all are here, and I'm so pleased that you are. Thank you.
I want to first of all introduce my associate Jim Roman, and we are so blessed to have Jim and his wife on our staff with us here at St. Luke's. I want to tell you just a bit about what we're going to do today, and then I'm going to turn over the narration to Jim. We are in possession here of an Orgelkids organ kit. We have the only one in Texas, and we are able to have this due to a generous gift from one of our members here at St. Luke's. The Orgelkids organ kit comes in a big crate. I wish you could see it. It's just sitting right. Well, actually, you can't see it. It comes in this black box, and it is to be assembled. We've done a little bit of pre-assembly here. We've put together the frame of the organ, and then we're going to put the organ itself together. We stuck our toe in the water here a little bit during Vacation Bible School, and we had a lot of youngsters in here that put the organ together. They could see how the organ works, and then we took them up inside our big organ here, and they had a better understanding of what they were looking at and how it works. The Orgelkids organ has 48 pipes. Our big organ has in the neighborhood of about 5,000 pipes. So the contrast is dramatic. At the end of our putting this together, we're going to play a piece for you called Dialogue for Grande and Petite Orgs. And it's a piece I wrote in December to premiere the organ, and we played this in church, and the people were delighted, and we hope you will be too. So we'll get on with this, and here is Jim Roman.
Hi. So I'm thinking actually it might be good so you guys can see this a little better while we're building it, to move you a little closer, and then we'll move it back when we play. So yes, we've already pre-assembled for the sake of time here the frame of the organ, which is sort of kind of what you would see up here. It's all the white casework. So next steps, and normally the kids would do this, and this is specifically designed for kids to be able to do this themselves, and it comes with all these instructions, and you match up the letters and the colors, and they can build the frame and all the pipes and all that. But we've done the hard part first.
If you've done an IKEA assembly, it's very similar to this. I call this our IKEA organ.
Yeah, so next step, we'll put on the keyboard, which comes conveniently in this little box here. And normally, last time we did this to make an extra activity for the kids, we mixed up all the keys on the table, and you have to match up, make sure this line is in order here to put them on first. So we're going to start putting those on. And this is, I wish you could all see this up close. It's so beautifully crafted. This is all...
Let me see if I can do this.
Sure. Yeah, this is all handcrafted and custom built. Thanks to two very generous donors here at the church who underwrote this for us. Orgelkids, if you don't know the word orgel, is the German word for organ, and they started in the Netherlands actually. This company specifically for the purpose of being able to reach younger kids and teach them about how the organ works. And then Orgelkids USA started, I want to say in the last 5 to 10 years. I can't remember exactly. And just by chance, we realized after kind of proceeding with this that the daughter of the woman, is it the daughter or the mother of the woman who started it, actually sang in our choir here, which was a really fun connection that we made later on.
And the kids have a great time. They squeal with delight when they see that suddenly they have built an instrument, and we gave each of the kids an opportunity to play the organ. Some had a much better ability than others, and some made music, some made noise, but they all had an opportunity to play the instrument after it was assembled. So there you see the keys all put together. There we go. And the next step,
just put this on to make sure the keys don't fall out.
there we go. Perfect.
All right.
And in the background, you can see a little bit of our big organ, which was manufactured in Orville, Ohio by the Shantz Organ Company. Now we're going to put on the section of the assemblage that houses the pipes and the valves that open and close to make the pipes play.
So fortunately, they build all of this for us beforehand, so we don't have to put all these little tiny things together. But you can see here the action of the keyboard. So these are called trackers. These will all connect to the keys, and when you pull it down, you can see it pulls down that piece of wood there, which then opens the valve where the pipes will sit all along here.
And that lets the air in to let the pipes speak.
So
I'm sure you all have heard of a tracker organ. And explain a little bit to them, Jim.
Yeah, so if you want to start putting those on, I'll talk about this.
Yeah.
So tracker basically means it's a mechanical instrument. So on our organ here, this is all done, electrically. So we press a key and an electric signal gets sent through the wires and goes up through the pipes. And that allows for organs like this to have consoles that are removed from the organ. If you're playing a tracker instrument, the keyboard actually has to be physically attached to the organ, because when you press the key down, it has to physically pull the lever down, but that can all be done electronically now. If you've ever heard the term pulling out all the stops, that actually comes from the organ. So all these, I don't know if you can see them on here, all these knobs here are called stops, and each one of these is a different sound. So like on organ here, we have an oboe, trumpet, here's a nice flute, clarinet. So all those are different sounds, and we have between 77 and 79, I think, ranks or stops on this organ here. This instrument has 2. So these are basically the stop tabs for this instrument. And the reason they're called stops is because when they're in, they're stopping the air from coming through the pipes. And when you pull them out, it lets the air in, and then you can play this pipe. So this organ has just 2 little flutes, and they're beautiful. Beautiful little flutes.
Very well.
Yeah, right. This is the most difficult and painstaking part. Well, here, I'll keep doing that if you want to kind of talk about how the rest of this works.
Yes. Okay. So here we have these 2 pieces of wood that open and close the openings to let the air in or block it to stop the air. That's, as he said, it's called a stop. And this fits on top of that, and the pipes themselves will be seated into these openings. And the pipes, as you see here, this is called the mouth, this is called the toe, and this is open. This is where the air comes in, and you can see that the pipes on an organ are nothing but big, sophisticated whistles. And so when we seat these pipes into the appropriate holes, you're doing really well there, Jim. He's more adept at this than I am.
You want to show them the demo pipe with the length too?
Yeah. Say something.
So and like I said, so the term pulling out of the stops, What that means is when you pull out all the organ stops, you're using all of the resources available, which when people say that, means you're using everything you have, pulling out all the stops. So that's where that comes from.
So here's a demo pipe, and you can see at the top here is a little piece of wood that comes out, and it has a stopper on it, and that's the way you tune the pipe. To make it sharp, you push it this way, and to make it flat, you push it this way. And in our organ, a lot of the pipes have what they call caps on them that move up and down on the outside of the pipe to tune it. It takes our tuner the better part of a full day to tune all 5,000 of our pipes. And then we also have another organ in the chapel made by the Chance Organ Company. So we are fortunate to have lots and lots of pipes here at St. Luke's. And can't get it.
So, and sort of like a piano, the longer the string, the lower the pitch. It's similar with an organ. The longer the pipe, the lower the pitch. And yeah.
You can hear how when you move the tuning piece, it sharpens and flats. Almost sounds like a slide whistle, doesn't it? So the kids were having a great time with this when they were putting this together. Jim's almost through here.
The world record, by the way, for putting this together the fastest, I think, is like 17 minutes.
It takes us that long to get it out of the crate.
Got one more.
So we're almost there. Pardon me.
This is also much easier for the kids because they have much smaller hands. Okay. So now, here, Rob, do you want to show how the...
So now that the trackers have been put on, you can see that when you depress the key, that it opens the valve above that particular key. Can you see that action going on? And then that in turn allows the air to come up through the pipes. So the next step, and this was the kids' favorite, is assembling, putting the pipes on the top of the organ. These face in, right? Or
Yeah, the inner row faces.
inner row faces in. And so, again, when we had the kids doing this, we had the pipes all mixed up. And their first step was to get them in some semblance of order by length. And you can see that we're going from long to short on this organ. And that's the same way this happens up in our pipe chamber. If any of you want to see the inside of this organ, call Jim or me and we'll be happy to give you a tour. Wear dirty clothes if you do that. So this part goes fast. And I'm sure you know that the main part of a pipe organ, besides the pipes, is that it needs an air supply. So you want to tell them about our air supply?
Yeah, so as my brother would say, back in the old black and white days, before electricity, you'd have to have someone physically pumping the bellows. The bellows are sort of like if you have a real fireplace at home, not a gas one, and you have the bellows to blow air on the fire. That's sort of how the organ actually works, except that bellows is hooked up to a tube that feeds air into the wind supply here. So we're going to go grab that here. I'll show you what that looks like.
Every time back in Bach's days he wanted to play the organ, he had to hire somebody to come in and do the bellows to supply the air to the organ. And it's my understanding, and I think I'm right on this, that Bach actually did write a lot of his organ pieces on a pedal harpsichord because they didn't have to pay anyone to.
Right. And I've not seen this in a scholarly source, but my favorite little story about all that is that they, especially in France, they would find homeless people on the street and say, hey, we'll give you $1 if you come pump the organ for an hour while I practice. And thankfully, we don't have to ask people to do that anymore. We just flip a switch. So the air will be fed into this, you can see it here, will be fed into this box down here, which will inflate. I can't really pull it up right now because I'll show you in a second. There's a weight on top here that will press it back down, so there's always pressure pushing the air. And then, Rob, we need the two pieces that go on the back. But it's coming together and it's starting to look like a pipe organ now, which is always exciting.
There you go.
So this goes on the back here, and we'll make sure I got the right direction here. Yeah.
This carries from the air reservoir up to the chest for the pipes. So it gets the air from down here through here into this. And then this
and
hose.
A very sophisticated shop vac hose.
I think that, yeah.
That's the overflow.
Yeah, that's out. That's right.
Make sure that's all nice and tight. Okay.
Now, you want to...
So
I'll move the camera if you want to show them the bellows. Okay.
So watch here when he pumps the air now that's going through the tube in the back. This will inflate. Yeah. So now there's air going in. Yeah, but there's nothing playing right now. So I'm pressing the keys and nothing's happening. That's because the stops are pushed in. So if I pull a stop out, here's one of our flutes. And you can pull I'll pull the other stop out at the same time. So watch what happens when I pull the other one. You heard the other sound come on. So that they're playing at 4-foot and 2-foot pitch, which is essentially 1 and 2 octaves above where middle C on a regular piano would be. And that's pretty much how that all goes together. Do you want to do a little Mozart or something? And I'll
Sure.
Nice. So that's how the organ works in a nutshell. Now, we're going to ask we have a third person here who's been hiding behind the scenes waiting for his cue. We're going to invite our director of worship.
We're going to play this piece for you that I wrote for the premiere of this organ in church. And it's a dialogue between the two organs. And this is Justin Bear. And Justin is going to be our bellows pusher. We hope you like this little piece. Let's go. We hope you liked that. We hope you learned something today. Thank you for playing the bellows so beautifully, Justin. And thank you, Jim. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for inviting us. We had a good time, and we hope you learned something.
It seems to me this instrument is similar to the portative organs that we learned about in music history long ago. So it's actually a concert-worthy instrument, yes?
It is.
Yeah, there's a few drawbacks that took.
Yeah, intonation and
Well, not so much
little
that.
things.
Little
Yeah,
things like this only has
yeah, yeah.
pipes, so it doesn't have the full range that even a portative organ might have.
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah.
also, you do need a third or a second person to actually pump the bellows when you're playing. So if you have the manpower, it's fine. But totally, it'd be a great continuum.
Yeah. So the portative then was operated with what? The feet?
Yeah, I guess it would have been done with bellows as well.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even nowadays, they're all electrified too. So you just
Yeah.
motor.
I just, fascinating for the kids. It makes me think that a kit like this should exist for our string family of instruments too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, where we build one and put it together and explain how it all works.
We
Yeah.
do have T-shirts, by the way.
I forgot to wear mine. I'm embarrassed.
Thank you for your question.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, we'd like to perhaps think about buying one or three of those. My son is a recording engineer, and they were going to go to a faraway church away from his studio to do some music. And he was just kidding. He said, well, we'll just carry an organ over there. But now it could be possible, right?
Well, they're not inexpensive. This is all, like I said, custom made.
Yeah.
And this has a few extra bells and whistles. There's a few optional things you can get, but all said and done, this runs about $8,000. So if you're able to buy two or three, come talk to us.
Yeah, please. We'd love to get in your will.
Optimistically, I'm going to write it down.
Did we just see some ducks?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's Susan. Hi, Sharon. Oh no, Sharon Lay. Hi. Hi,
I
Sharon.
don't ask me how they're there, but I'm on the other side. How are you all? It was wonderful to hear you and see the presentation.
I'm so glad to see you, Sharon. I've missed seeing you.
I've been hearing about the Friday night's performance of the Phantom.
Oh yeah,
And
I
raving
presented.
about that. So
Right. I did the 1925 Phantom of the Opera silent movie here at St. Luke's, and we moved the organ console out so they could see it, and we had a big screen, and the people loved it. The movie is incredible. So thanks for mentioning that.
you should do it again next year.
I think I'm going to do the Hunchback of Notre Dame next year.
He's going to do it on this organ.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'll have a hunchback by the time I'm through. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions?
I have two, more of a comment than anything else. Well, one's a question. Have you ever seen the pipe organ at the Longwood Gardens in Pennsylvania? As a child, we used to go hear Robert Elmore perform there, and we used to go behind Robert Elmore was my mother's teacher and mentor.
Well,
And
that's so interesting that you said that, because I'm originally from New Jersey.
really,
My first organ teacher was Elmore's assistant in Philadelphia.
well, my mother actually substituted for him in Philly when he couldn't. So she was not professionally, but she was pretty good. She's
What was her name?
Evelyn Bowman. You wouldn't know, I don't think.
I'd be curious to ask my teacher though if he knew her name or not.
It might be interesting. I don't know, because she studied. We went up to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Remember, he was a organist up there,
I'm from
very
Moravia.
well known in the area. And you used to have to go early to even get into his concerts, which is unusual for an organ concert. The other comment I had to say was, when I was a child, we lived in Argentina for a year, and my mother was the organist for the tiny church in Miquelmas, a little village outside of Buenos Aires, and they had an old organ there, and they actually had a machine that pumped air in so that she could play the organ, because it was, not an electronic one. It was a tracker organ, and it was an old organ. I don't remember too much about it, but I do remember we used to sit beside her and watch. So, but anyhow, so no, I have had experience, and while my sisters and I got to the point where we said, do we have to go to another organ concert?
You sound like my wife now.
I'm sorry?
You sound like my wife now.
Yeah, no, we went to very many, but it was an experience for us. And have you ever played Elmore's Nursery Rhyme Suite?
I have.
Yes.
I understand it's pretty hard.
And the rhythmic suite. Do you know the rhythmic suite of Elmore?
Yes. I can't. I'm not a pianist keyboardist, but yeah, he was quite a character, and
We're
a
both
big
big
influence.
fans of Robert Elmore.
Yeah, I play a lot of his music.
Really?
Oh,
Oh, cool.
And the
Are
fantasy
you
group.
able to use a bench so that you don't get a hunchback, Rob Landon? Because I don't want you to get a hunchback. It occurred to me that you were bending over so much.
Well, it's okay.
That is an interesting problem we've discovered with this, though, because also, I don't know if you can see, but there's no music stand like the main organ has.
Uh-huh. Oh,
So
so you have to look down. Well,
music is
can you
also-
can you somehow prop it up?
I think if we were to maybe put a music stand back here,
Yeah.
there are ways around it. But yeah, it doesn't come with a built-in stand like a regular instrument would.
Right.
So yeah,
Yes.
that's been a unique
But
challenge.
that was just fascinating. I loved it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
May I ask a question?
Please.
What's next for this amazing instrument? What are you going to be doing with it?
Well, eventually, we're hoping to take this out into the school systems and let the kids do what we did with our Vacation Bible School kids, and actually do a hands-on. Right now, of course, we can't do that very well, and so hopefully, in the very near future, we can load this into our car and take it out to the schools. I've already had some people call and ask about doing that, so that's next on our agenda, hopefully.
Yeah. And I mean, it is really portable. You need some room in your trunk to get it in there. But like we took it, our youth choir had their annual retreat, and we took it to the retreat. And we had a few kids do a little session with it there. And we also, again, right before COVID started, we had just started doing a series of like Sunday afternoon organ informational type things where people would get a chance to, and this was before we had this, we would take them into the organ, we do some demos, they get to play it, and hopefully when we start those up again, we'll have this and people can actually build it. And it's not just for kids. I mean, anybody can really get their hands on this and learn about it. So that's our plan.
Yeah. I have a comment or a question.
Sure.
About sitting down. If you take it, well, two things. One is if you take it around to schools, there's not going to have a pipe organ there, so you'll have to rewrite your piece. It could be.
There is actually a lot of music written just for this organ by itself.
Oh, well, you could write one for piano because all schools have piano.
True.
And
That's true.
Rob's piece, I think, would adapt pretty well on a piano as well.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, he could rewrite it.
okay, I guess that'll work. The other thing is it possible? Well, first of all, the iPad, you can get these little easels that prop it up. You don't need a music stand.
Right.
That's simple.
Yeah.
But the other, if you sit down, could you have you experimented with putting the bellows on the floor and putting your feet in a little stirrup and pumping it with your feet?
I don't think that would quite work because you need to grab it by the handles, and unless you have really thin...
Well, you'd have to modify the handles so that your toes could fit in there.
Right. I suppose in theory, yeah, we could do that.
It would be possible. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Well, okay. But I
It's
always
too
think
much work.
organists have very talented feet. I mean, I tried playing the organ when I was a kid, and my feet just would not get coordinated. So I
And-
respect all of you.
Yeah, and that is one thing this organ lacks. You can't, for those of you who haven't seen it before, most pipe organs have a pedal board, which I was using for Rob's piece.
Yeah, of course.
But this organ obviously does not. So
Yeah, well,
I never could stand to play a pump organ. It was just too much work.
well, yeah. I've always heard the expression tracker organ, and I never until today knew what the tracker was, what it meant. So anyway, I'm going to play something on a all electronic. I guess an acoustic piano. You could call it a tracker piano, maybe.
there you go.
Good, good.
Anyway, thank you.
Any more questions from anyone?
Okay, I have a question, and I'm assuming you get a few kids at least interested in studying organ. Where and how do they do that? Does every church have lessons or just select places?
So we actually, at St. Luke's here, have a music academy that's run through the church called the Bridges Academy of Music and Fine Arts. And I do teach organ lessons through that. So if anybody's interested, yeah.
Yeah, the Bridges Academy offers lessons in trumpet, cello, violin, guitar, piano, organ,
Voice, yeah, everything.
voice. It's quite an organization we have here.
And they're all teachers who are local musicians. They don't only work out of Bridges. So I just happen to be here, so I do it. But we have a lot of really great teachers for
And we have a
many
lot of
instruments.
students.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And we actually did a lot of Zoom lessons over the last year. We learned how to kind of
Yeah.
make that work. Yeah, so if you have a beginner student who wants to learn the organ, just reach out to Bridges.
Let us know.
Thank you so much for coming.
We had a great time.
Thank you. Thanks. So we have a little bit of music after all of our speakers, and we have one of our newest members, Peter Schaaf. For those of you who have not yet met him, he's besides a concert pianist who's an accompanist to many classical music stars. He also had a second career as a photographer. He actually has done many famous photographs of some of the best known classical musicians. And he likes to perform on a keyboard from home, and it feeds directly into the computer. So yesterday we were getting great sound on Zoom. Peter, if you're on, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself and your instrument, what you're going to play.
I have a keyboard, and it feeds into a digital audio, an audio interface, and then goes into the computer. And so it doesn't have to go through the air at all. The sound, there's no loudspeaker except the monitor that I'm hearing and whatever, but it's going digitally directly, and no microphones, no speakers. Anyway, I'm going to play a waltz by Chopin.
thanks so much, Peter. Actually, it's amazing how much of the character, all the character comes through when you have the piano feeding directly to the computer. Susan, I see Susan Thompson.
May I assume, Mr. Schaaf, that you could hear that through another speaker? That
Yes.
you could actually hear is good.
I'd hate to play it.
Right.
Right. Now there's a speaker right here. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Monitor.
I have a friend who moved from a large home to a much, much smaller place. I've talked to Susan Fishman about it, and not talked to her, emailed her. And when we heard you before, it sounded marvelous. And I didn't know you were not on your regular grand piano. But since you've moved from New York, you've also had to move to a much smaller space. So what kind of instrument is this? Because I want to tell my friend that she had to sell her large, beautiful piano, which she was able to sell, but what could she buy to sound like you just did? If that's possible.
Well, it is possible. And if you had asked me a month ago, I would have said Yamahas make the best keyboard.
Keyboard,
It's called a well, you can get, if you have a keyboard, you have to buy a stand for it, and it's not a piece of furniture, really. I've always done that, and I'm perfectly happy with that. But you can also, for a little more money, you can buy what is essentially a keyboard in a stand already. It looks like a little spinet piano.
Is that what you have right here?
No, I have a keyboard on a stand. And Yamahas make very good ones, but I've just found a really better one, one that I really, really like and recommend to anybody, Kawaii.
Hawaii. I'm going to write it down.
Yeah. It does some things that the Yamaha doesn't. It has a wonderful sound, and I'm very happy with it.
I noticed you have two keyboards. Is there a reason for that?
Well, yeah, the other one was my Yamaha. And
oh, I see. Okay, so you've just gone to this one.
Yeah, I have a 7-foot Steinway up in New York. I don't have room for it here. And
oh, that's what my friend's problem was. It's I bet you it sounded wonderful. Thank you so much.
Well, this actually sounds better than my Steinway because it's in perfect tune. That's one
wow.
thing. All the keyboard instruments they're wonderful.
They hold their tune.
Yeah, if you play an octave, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And you can hear chords much better. You can.
But if you play it at home, you don't have to do it through a computer, right?
Well, this is my home, and I do play. No, I don't have to do it through a computer. You're right.
Because I didn't understand that part. That's just for our benefit. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because this one has very fine speakers. You can also, you can get, if you have not great speakers in the keyboard, you can buy separate speakers in addition, so to fill out the sound for your room and your ears.
Do you have just a second to show some of the other sounds it makes, particularly organ and harpsichord?
During his talk, I was fooling around with the organ stop, so I have. So I have an organ, and I have jazz organs and things I really like. Well, there's harpsichord and vibraphone, clavichord. Oh, marimba, I like that. And there's one even, not this one, there's some other one that has steel drums. I mean, they can do anything with the electronic. There are two methods. Most of them are what they call samples, sampling. They play each key of any instrument, piano, vibraphone, anything, and they record it at different velocities, different levels of sound. And they make many, many, many recordings, and then they have the computer select by the amount of pressure, by the speed you put the key down, the computer selects which one of those samples is you've just played. So they can do it. They can even make up weird instruments. Any science fiction movie you want can. You can get. There's one program I have that has honky-tonk piano, takes your keyboard and makes it a honky-tonk piano, and then they make it a broken-down piano. It sounds like something that's been sitting out in the woods for a couple of years. Anyway, there's no limit to what can be done.
Fantastic. And my boyfriend asked specifically about steel drums, which you mentioned some of them do, and glass harmonica.
Oh, I haven't seen glass harmonica, but I'll look at the program that does the steel drums. I'll see if that has glass harmonica.
Yeah, it seems like that would also work very well with keyboard. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Gail, who's going to introduce. We have Kelli Estes, who's going to sing for us remotely.
What we are going to hear today is a Paris medley that she had recorded live at the match. And I want to say that Paul English is playing the piano, Brennan Nace is playing the bass, and Tim Saluk is playing the drums. So here's Kelli.
I've never been, but I do know a few songs. Are you ready for all of them? These are all the songs I know about Paris. When spring arrives, eager lassies and lads can't take their eyes off posters and ads, glorifying pasture's illusion. In fact, anything Parisian. They begin to pine for long vacations and start to put the bite on their friends and relations. Not for us, this flurry of frenzy and fretting. We're getting our Paris in a Manhattan setting. Walking down Fifth Avenue, let's pretend, voulez-vous, that we found our Paris, our private Paris in New York. Even good old Union Square has the faint Gaelic air. When we kiss its Paris, we found our Paris in New York. When you're in love, the humble Harlem River looks like the river sand. When you're lost in dreams, Lindy's could be Maxine's, and your coffee the rarest champagne. Wow, Central Park look the same in the dark. When we kiss, it's Paris, our private Paris in New York. When love walks in and takes you for a spin, ooh la la, c'est magnifique. When every night your loved one holds you tight, ooh la la, say it with me, c'est magnifique. But when one day your loved one drifts away, oh la la, it is so tragique. Then once more he whispers, je t'adore, c'est magnifique. I love Paris in the springtime. I love Paris in the fall. I love Paris in the summer when it sizzles. I love Paris in the winter when it drizzles. I love Paris every moment of the year. I love Paris, I love Paris, because all my friends, you are here. April in Paris. He thought it was over. chestnuts in blossom, holiday tables under the tree.